Well, good morning, everyone. This is the Ag Issues program on 580 WIBW and 1049 News. I'm Dan Johnson, and this morning, very pleased to be joined by Trevor McKeeman, who is the CEO and founder of HitchPin. And HitchPin is a technology startup that's providing a new kind of connection for farmers, being compared to Airbnb or Uber, only for agricultural products and services. Trevor, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning to you, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Well, I don't know if I described this accurately or not. I was going off some information that I've seen in a newspaper article and also a press release, but you can help us out here. What is HitchPin?
Well, I think you were dead on. So, HitchPin is similar to Airbnb or Uber, only for agriculture products and services. And so, if you think about some of the fastest growing companies in the country right now, they're all out there taking this sort of excess capacity in a particular industry and utilizing it better. So in the case of Airbnb, you have a chance to rent out a room in your house. In a case like HitchPin, you may have a producer that has just completed soybean harvest and is interested in picking up a couple more jobs to help cash flow the farm and cash flow their machinery. And so they're able to list that service out on our site and on our app. And then producers in the area that are interested in having that service done can find them very quickly, usually in about 60 seconds, book them through the app, and then it sort of benefits both sides. So the producer that's providing the service can pick up some additional revenue actually doing it, so going out and cutting beans or milo or corn. And then the guy that's getting the service done may not have to go out and buy an expensive piece of equipment to do it.
So how did HitchPin come to be? What prompted the creation of this?
Sure. So I'm a Kansas farm kid. I grew up north of Abilene, Kansas, and I just looked at things that are happening in our farming operation, and you see, it's kind of tough times in agriculture right now. And with commodity prices where they're at, producers are trying to figure out how to make a little bit more revenue or save costs. And so this has been an idea that we've had for a while, but we've really accelerated the development of it just given where commodity prices are and in a real effort to hopefully help producers.
Now, you're based at KState's Institute for Commercialization. How does that collaboration or affiliation work, and how did you come to work with KState on this?
Sure. Yeah. So it's a fantastic place. So the Institute for Commercialization's sort of affiliated with KState, and they have space that startup companies and a lot of biotech type companies are there as well. And I've known that group for a long time, and they're very much plugged into the pulse of innovation, sort of not only throughout the state and K-State, but beyond. They're working with the intellectual property that comes out of the institution, and so they have a really good feel for what technology is out there, and so for us it's a great fit. We're located in one of their buildings, and my goal all along has been to grow a really advanced technology company and do it in Kansas. And so we found Manhattan to be a great place to do that.
Now, you personally have an interesting background. It's including a business degree from K-State and an MBA from MIT, that's Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Now, that's a long way from growing up on a farm outside of Chapman. If you would, tell us about the journey to where you are today.
Sure. Yeah. So again, we built our farm in the 1980s, which was a pretty tough time to be building a farm. And I get maybe that's what instilled kind of an interest in entrepreneurship and an interest in building things. And we did that mostly with just hard work and trying to patch machinery together and keep it running. After K-State, I went and worked for Anderson Consulting, which then became Accenture, doing sort of high-tech consulting work. Then had an opportunity to go and work for Jerry Moran when he was in the House of Representatives and managed his ag policy work, and that was a fantastic experience. Getting a chance to meet with farmers around the state and really understand their issues. And certainly I felt them too because that's the environment that I grew up in. And then came back to Kansas from D.C. Was always interested in sort of building things in this state, and so started a company, a bioenergy company, and then after that had a chance to go to MIT, and that was a great experience too. I'm the only Kansas farm kid in my class, and a fantastic experience. In fact, it's been wonderful to bring. There were people from 33 countries in that class, and it's been wonderful to bring many of them back to the state, and it really opens their eyes as far as what opportunities are here. And then came back and did another technology startup company called Hidden Genius, and then HitchPin is my third one. And you certainly learn as you go on all this stuff, but we've been back and forth in other places across the country, and this is the place that we feel is great to start companies. And with HitchPin, for instance, we had a pull to go to California and stay on the East Coast, and I thought, our customers are here. This is the place that we certainly need to build an authentic company, and so we specifically chose to locate in this part of the world just to be as close to our customers as possible.
Now let's get back to HitchPin specifically. How do you access this? I know there's apps and also a website.
Yes, yeah. So HitchPin has been pretty quiet in its development, and then we just released the iOS app. So for your iPhone, that just came out a couple weeks ago. And so if you go to the App Store and search for HitchPin, you'll find HitchPin Agriculture, and you can download it there. The app is free to download, so you can download it. You can even list harvest services and hay for free, and then you can browse for those things for free too. The only time there is a fee is if somebody is making money on the app. So if somebody books a service or buys hay and we transfer the money, that's the only time there's a fee. There's also HitchPin.com. So for your desktop computer and for Android phone, you can go to HitchPin.com and find the app there. And then in the future, we will have a dedicated Android app. So it's a staged process of how you roll these things out, and Android will be the next thing.
And a couple benefits to HitchPin is it's quick to use, and also, and this is one is huge, payment is quick.
Yeah. All this is born out of real world experience in farming. And so, to give you an example of a hay transaction, which is really where we started, let's say I was at a farm show. It's been months ago, but I had a gentleman come by and he said, "How much hay is on your app? Because I'm desperate. I've got cattle. I need to feed them." And then 5 minutes later, another producer walks by and says, "I have all this hay and I can't get rid of it." And so it's that total disconnect, between the demand and the supply side. And so with HitchPin, literally you can list a hay listing in just a few minutes, and it's a real-time inventory system. So it's not like Craigslist or something else where you're really not sure if the hay is there or if it's been sold or if it's even a real listing. HitchPin, everybody has an account and they're verified, and so if there's 68 bales, there's actually 68 bales there. And one of the real advantages for listing is the payment process, as you mentioned. So if I'm the buyer and you're the seller of hay, and I say I want 68 bales, we automatically pull the funds out of the buyer's account, and it sits in an escrow account. And then as soon as the hay is delivered or the hay is picked up and both sides verify, the payment is transferred from the escrow account to the seller. So you don't have to ask your neighbor politely for a check and and you also don't have to wait for months potentially to be paid. So it's the whole process is accelerating that payment flow, and it protects both the buyer and the seller. So if the hay isn't delivered, the buyer is still protected. If the hay is delivered, though, the seller is paid very fast. And the same is true on harvest services. So for somebody providing those services, there's a lot of, as you know, cost involved with fuel and machinery and personnel, and a lot of times those folks providing those custom services won't be paid for months, and so our eventual goal is the moment the machine rolls off the field that the payment will go through, and so that certainly benefits the provider of the service, and then the benefits to the person booking the service is, I no longer have to wait around wondering, am I first in line to have this done or am I fifth in line? You know exactly where you are. You know exactly the dates that you've selected to have the service done. And we bring a lot more transparency to the process.
We're talking to Trevor McKeeman, who is the CEO and founder of HitchPin. This is the Ag Issues program on 580 WIBW.
Now back to Ag Issues with Dan Johnson.
Stay out in front with the consistent performance of Asgrow, the highest yielding soybean seed in the U.S. Ask your dealer how much further you can grow when Asgrow leads the way. Well, good morning. This is the Ag Issues program on 580 WIBW and 1049 News. I'm Dan Johnson, and we're very pleased this morning to be joined by Trevor McKeeman, who is the CEO and founder of HitchPin. HitchPin is a technology startup that's providing a new kind of connection for farmers, being compared to Airbnb or Uber, only for agricultural products and services. Now, Trevor, just recently, HitchPin was a finalist in the Farm Credit Service of America Ag Innovation Pitch at the Nebraska Power Farming Show. And while you didn't win the grand prize, you did win the People's Choice Award, which I understand is the award that you wanted the most. Why is that?
Yeah, and it really was. So the farm, that Nebraska Power and Farm Show, I think, is the second largest farm show in the country, and the room was filled with producers, and it was fascinating. In real time, they're sort of voting on the startups and the technology that they find really useful, and so the fact that HitchPin was sort of by far the leader on that particular piece was wonderful for us, because our goal really is to build something that is helpful for producers, and so again we were very pleased to do that, and it was certainly fun to visit with several hundred producers while we were up there.
Now, Trevor, you touched on this a little bit, I believe, in the first segment, but you've said in an article that HitchPin can help farmers grow their business or control costs through specialization. And how do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think there's certainly a lot of things that are changing with agriculture. I think we're on the beginning stages of some major shifts. Obviously, there's some demographic shifts, and as farms transition to next generations. But the specialization piece, I think, is particularly interesting. So I'll give you an example. I met with a young producer, and he was fifth generation farm kid, and they lost the farm. And he took a job in town and didn't enjoy it, as many farm kids might not, and said, "I'm going to start farming again." Well, how do you do that? How do you start a farming operation given the cost of everything? And so what this young man did is he went out and bought a steam baler, which I wasn't that familiar with, but it allows him to bale when others can't bale, and he's run the numbers, and he's determined that if he keeps that thing going and then holds off purchase on other equipment, he actually makes more money doing that. And so he's slowly building his operation by sort of focusing on the elements that are making him the most money. And the thing that has really stopped that in the past is this general fear with producers of not having the equipment that they need when they need it. It's a real time sensitive thing when you're in planting or harvest or those sorts of things. And so that fear has been really reducing, I guess, this idea that maybe I can have somebody else do the service. Well, that's exactly what we're trying to solve for with HitchPin. So, as an example, this young producer again, his hardest challenges were finding people that needed that custom baling service, and then finding the service providers to do planting and some of these other things. So, if he can now find those people in a matter of minutes on the app and book them in a very secure way, knowing exactly the timing, it takes a lot of that risk away. And I think as farming progresses, we're going to see that occur more and more. We're going to see folks that say, I'm really good at the harvest element, or I'm really good at planting, or I'm really good at various aspects. And they're going to look at how their capital is distributed, whether that's in equipment or land or, and really make some decisions based on financial aspects as far as this is the best thing for my farm. And I think those farms that are going to survive and the ones that are really going to grow in the future are really looking at the numbers saying, how do we make this as efficient as possible given the high capital costs of land and equipment?
Well, Trevor, we have run out of time for the Ag Issues program, but just real quickly, what's that app again? I know the website is hitchpin.com, but what's the app again?
Yes. So if you go to the App Store on your iPhone, you can look for HitchPin, and it will just and HitchPin, all one word, and it will display as HitchPin Agriculture, and that's the place to find it on the App Store.
Well, Trevor, thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing the additional services that you will be adding onto HitchPin as you go along. But thank you for being on the Ag Issues program this morning.
I sure appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And again, we have been visiting with Trevor McKeeman, CEO and founder of HitchPin. Be sure to check that out.